picks are big for some players, not for others. And the Lissandra, with the nameplates on, has actually made it all the way through the first round as we get the Gen G 2018 special, the Ash Tahm Kench, that I'm sure Songyun would love to have on his side, given that Key has played 12 games of the Tahm Kench, and Ash is a staple of Songyun.
It's very true. Looks like they're going to default to a guy that has risen in the ranks in the support role. Braum, very high tier nowadays, especially alongside the Lucian. Proc that passive a little bit easier, and pretty nice lane down into the bottom side, can have some pressure. We'll see if Songyun will be playing that Lucian as well. Always got to keep that in the back of your mind.
I'm going to be honest, Valdez. I look at this draft, given the names involved, given their games, and I feel like if we had the blind draft and then you had to raffle off who got which draft, I think Hanwha Live wishes they got DAMWON's draft. That's what my read is here, because So1's Jace has been his best carry pick in his career, and Songyun's Ash Tahm Kench, I think, is pretty safe here. You're kind of relegated into Braum as your support because you didn't have access to the Tahm Kench. So given all of that, I think Hanwha Live feel a bit hard done by, but of course the draw star's ability and can be piloted well. Always ironic to see Lava banning LeBlanc, given that he is a great LeBlanc player himself, but see what they want a last pick here for Hanwha Live. Bono is last pick jungle a lot, but now that the top two are gone from him, we haven't seen him recreate the same power. So I'd actually like to see him just take a Rek'Sai or take whatever the best available is and kind of grin and bear it, and a counter pick for Lava, given that we're trying to understand and wrap our heads around why Lava's back in the lineup to begin with.
Seems like DAMWON reading into that Aurelia top pretty well as well. Think about the Aurelia. She's only one in the mid lane. 3 games from Toby, 1 game from Showmaker. Those 2 players are undefeated on that champ, but nobody else has found another way to get in, as looks like it'll be Zach coming in here for Bono. Interesting pick.
Especially when Jace was given over, and you're like, there's definitely going to be some sides of the map that could be tricky. But I like what they did, because you notice they further extend the Aurelia flex, and they don't necessarily put all their eggs in the Bono basket, which recently hasn't been working. So I like Hanwha Live doing what feels counterintuitive based on the past. And we get Akali here. We mentioned the potential for Ryze Jace. Akali Jace is also quite spicy when it comes to lane assignments. My first thought, Nogari top lane Jace, mid lane Akali. We did see Faker on the mid lane Akali this week. From all of that, they need a jungler. They have pretty much whatever they want, and we already saw Xinjiao versus Zac not work out, so why not match impacts a little bit, go for the Gragas, who has more teeth in the pre-6 phase, but isn't necessarily bound towards the super early game, ends up being that Gragas for punch. So actually, kind of amazingly, no one took Lee Sin.
I know, it's weird. I don't think we're going to have a flex on any of these champions to allow Lee Sin to come in, as Ryze is going to be the final pick onto the side of Hanwha Life. We're expecting that to be into the mid lane. That should be up against Akali.
Let's wait for 20 seconds, but yes, this is how you would assume this would stack up based on their players, but things could change, is something to remember. Timer rolls down.
Swapped once. Will they do it again?
They're having their fun. The mind games continue. I think I look at this, and I probably prefer Ryze mid lane, but I can understand both of the assignments way into the final seconds here. We're zoomed in on Songyun for some reason. He's not involved here, and it will be Ryze mid lane. Problem for Aurelia is that Akali, especially after the buff, just comes out of the Shroud once and then just waits out the ultimate and takes no further damage. So the Shroud has kind of bonkers value, especially in the mid lane with how short a lane it is. So I like Ryze in the mid lane instead. My query is, though, top lane could be painful without ganks, and asking Zac for ganks before he's good and ready, it doesn't work out. So we'll see how things go there, because Jace Gragas should have a pretty big skirmish and priority advantage early game over the resulting top lane of Hanwha Life.
You certainly have to believe that, and well, so on. A lot of responsibility on his shoulders to come into a game where he's replacing a guy like Tall, and to actually perform in a lane that's super hard up against a lane bully on a lane bully champion. So all eyes on Sohan. Can he actually make it work on the Aurelia that hasn't found too much success so far in LCK?
Really interesting matchup between two pretty even teams. Desperation on both sides for sure. There's no guarantee both these teams make it to playoffs, and your first thought is win today, and you're one step closer.
It's a big match. Let's jump into game one now. Pretty huge cheers from both sides as they love pauses, and they're cheering for that, but no, it's a lot on the line for both these teams, so of course pouring their hearts into it as it looks like it's a Hanwha Life issue. Maybe Bono's monitor disconnected for some reason. That's not a good thing.
At least now we can see that in fact his monitor is active, so hopefully that's just a once out. G-Sun, you got something for us here? A big Hanwha Life fan wanting them to go to playoffs. And it's also just shouting out the YouTube channel there. Honestly, Hanwha Life have been one of our best squads when it comes to producing content. They put out a lot of great content. Hanwha, one of our last big Korean companies come into esports, and they're not trying to waste any time. They've definitely made a lot of fun stuff. Well, the bar didn't come out in game number one, sadly. It's a great drawing.
It really is.
Really lovingly drawn, the Snow Day Bard. By far the best Bard skin. You look. And we're also getting a headset change. Just a couple of little things before we can get into game number one.
No chair issue, though. That's always important.
Or toilet issue.
Yeah. Haven't had one of those in 2019. Games don't go quite as long as they used to nowadays. Back in my day, we'd be sitting here for ages.
How did the global fans get all the lollipops? We didn't find any, Valdez.
I know. Where's our lolly?
What's your favorite lollipop flavor?
Cherry?
Me too. I was going to say cherry. Costa Synergy.
I was just waiting and reading your mind.
Speaking of Synergy, there's too much Teemo here.
Flame, are you going to play Teemo in your next game?
When will your next game be? Also a pressing question for good old Flame. Could be game number 2 tonight.
Let's get a penalty kill here, Sang-yoon. Let's see. She also ran here after work, or after school, rather.
Well, we are 8 p.m. Korean Standard Time. Oh, he's found 3 handsome guys in League of Legends.
Flame, Dongjun, and Cloud Templar.
2 casters and 1 player, apparently.
Yeah.
But there's the countdown. It's reached 0. How about video games?
How about them?
I thought that would be... Oh, we already had the cheers, right?
We had the cheers.
I was waiting for some cheers. No cheers. Just some cheers from Gragas. He's always happy to have a drink. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who needs cheers. He makes his own cheers.
Punt, watching that series before, of course, with Cuz playing the Gragas. Can he get some inspiration from there and actually make it work? Of course, Cuz also played the Gragas into DAMWON Gaming when they did take that win, so Punt's trying to take a page out of his book.
Again, we want to talk about the stakes if you're joining us late. Hanwha Life are 8-5 fifth. DWG Gaming have 8 wins, but they've played an extra series and lost it. So there's a potential for there to be 2 series between the 2 teams if Hanwha Life can win. So DWG pretty desperate for that win, understandably. However, Hanwha Life's remaining schedule is the worst. They have to play against SKT, Griffin, and Sandbox. So 3 of the top 3, all 3 of them remain there. So fair question. You may have more games to play, but damn, are they some hard ones.
And, Punt and Ugri, they are the duo that always come out together. They're going to start off with saying, well, you wanted to help your Aurelia in the top side. No, thank you. We're going to make you go to your blue side and maybe even attempt a 3 buff here, as they want to take as much pressure off of Nuguri so that he can continue to do his thing and put on pressure in the top lane.
Hasn't this been a while? It's been a hot second since they've vertical jungled around Nuguri on a good matchup. But that's what we see here. Nuguri's in the lineup. Vertical jungling is happening. Jace gets to the minion seconds. Obviously gets not the same level 1 zoning like we've seen in Jace versus Cho'Gath matchups. Huni will never forget that. So they get the vertical jungling. Zac is probably going to get his camps, though. And that's the cost here. Yes, Zac can't impact the top lane and Aurelia gets dunked on, but if they don't pull off a turret dive, Zac's getting half the map. Sometimes we see Zac getting a third of the map, or a quarter of the map, or almost 1 or 2 camps. So there is a cost to this. It does mean that Zac will hit level 6 more often than not at the same timing as the Gragas.
Yeah, and honestly, SoHwan here at level 1 is doing a pretty good job of denying a bunch of the damage. Dodged the accelerated shock blast already, and got a couple of minions pretty fortunately there with his stun.
Yeah, you have to start E in this matchup, unless you have full access to the wave and guarantee level 2, because if you're marooned away from the minions without E, you ain't getting any of them. Hanwha Life, remember, it's a split map. They could try a map player. Lava's walking down so early. Tahm Kench has the Devour.
Not sure how I feel about this one, as the TP is coming in, immediate Devour, as Aftershock will be good to help Bono get out of there. They do get the TP as well.
TP from the mid laner, so it is a resource that's been gained, but like you're saying, it was Tahm Kench, and there was a heal between the two champions. That, of course, is the choice. Guardian heal. If there was no heal, no Guardian, I could understand it. Now, top lane, there's only 3 minions here, and the turret shot's already tanked.
It's all about the dives today. Double stun, though, as SoHwan is doing a dance, but the first blood will still go the way of DAMWON. Lava going to use his TP this time to pick up 1 kill. Already has his tier. Is going to be looking for Punch as well.
Punch should wait, and now the body. Very nicely done by Punch. He had the extra advantage there. Lava just hoped he was going to juke more towards his team. Instead, juking towards the blast plan was the way to go. There was only a 1-for-1. So not much ado about nothing overall, but look at the first buy. The fact that the kill went to Jace is very significant, because he's got the first of the Dirks. We're gonna call this one Nowitzki.
Okay.
We'll just leave that one out there. And we watched the turret dive here. The double stun threatened to just completely turn this one around.
Really did, but very well juggled there by Nuguri and Punch. The chemistry, the synergy working out well for them. And a nice dive. That does net them that first blood. So we'll see if they can continue with that pressure up there, as SoHwan's going to be under turret for a lot of this game.
We've had a lot of fans on Twitter messaging us about overlooking Nowitzki. We first mentioned Dirk from EU, one of the head producers out there, and then we mentioned the other Dirks we knew, and we just left him, unfortunately, to the side. I'm Australian, so I don't know American basketball as much, so
Neither do I.
I defaulted to English Premier League / Dutch Eredivisie in Dirk Kuyt, and Dirk Nannes, the Australian cricket player. Australian or South African, I actually forget, but cricket player is all I said, so I nailed that one to begin. And we forgot Dirk Nowitzki, that of course to a lot of our fan base is going to be the more famous Dirk. How do you like your Dirks? Serrated or not?
No, just pointy. That's
Dirks.
my favorite type of Dirk.
Fair enough. Well, SoHwan is, of course, enjoying all the fun of Jace versus Aurelia in the early lane, but the vertical jungling to some degree is over. Zac was around, but spotted out by Nuguri.
Oh boy, okay, gonna spot the 2 junglers in here. Who's gonna be the first mid laner to get on top of it? Looks like it's Showmaker, as Lava will trade a little bit back, but level 6 for Showmaker means that Hanwha do not want to take a fight.
What is the result across map? Because we saw a lot of action, right? Mirrored. And we saw a kill trade that we like the Jace picking up. So Dirk has got a turret plate already and enhancing the pain onto the Aurelia, whose first buy is probably going to be Tiamat, just a wave clear, rather than actually the chance to fight back. Across the map, the only other interesting difference is that Showmaker, with 2 TPs being used, actually in a really nice position against the Rise. About a minion wave and a half to 2 minion waves advantage, depending on when the minions crash, is not something to be overlooked too hastily. And this is a Kali with a lot of her power returned. May not have the heal anymore, but some of the changes to side laning with the much more reliable ability to arm the full duration W and the movement speed on the passive, there's a lot to like about Akali again. And while it might not be a first pick Akali meta, she's definitely a champion that's around the meta.
You'll definitely see her every once in a while here in LCK, especially with a bunch of the guys that love to pick up this champion. Chovy is obvious, but Faker showed it, as well as Showmaker. Coming in and making a show for us. Will he put on the carry pants tonight? Something we always hope for in the form of a Katarina, but wouldn't be so mad if it was the Akali this time.
Well, we know who wears the pants in the top lane. It's the guy who has serrated Dirk and Caulfield's Warhammer. No regen because it's Nuguri. He's got the slam and matchup, and we already mentioned jungling around the Jace vs Aurelia matchup. Punch says, it's mine.
Oh, he missed
1
it.
HP!
1 HP!
That was actually unbelievably unlucky. It was 1 HP.
How does that even happen? So rigged. Red buff is playing for the red team. And now Bono's looking for a gank. He's got red buff. And the knockup. Here we go. Okay, ultimate comes in and a stun, and there's no hope. And that red buff helps out in making that gank work.
DAMWON Gaming left home, and the weather report read blue skies. The thunderstorm literally came out of nowhere from the heavens of first a 1 HP red buff steal into a top lane gank to send behind the Jace, who had all the items. This is a tilter, and DAMWON Gaming have been known for some emotional play from what we can gather, because there's definitely been games that, from a very clear kind of flare point, the game has just gone away from them quickly. Watch this play. W auto 1 HP, not 3, not 4. Even score was less close than this. Top.
The ward just expires. And he's like in perfect range of level 3 elastic slingshot. Okay. We got him. Nice. I already know what I was going to say, guys.
I'd like to listen to the comms on the other side during the VOD review. The VOD review of that one, of the things that had to happen in a row for that to happen, will definitely be more colorful, let's say.
I mean, say the Gragas gets red buff. Bono doesn't hit level 5. By the way, he got level 5 on the red buff. The Gragas is much higher on health. He's able to stick around the top side, you know. And most importantly, that E is not in range for the Zac, and the gank will probably not happen. So
that's
actually a big deal.
That's a lot of things in a row. And all Noguri can say is, matchup's still good, turret plates, you know, still on the menu, but he's slowing down. That's what happens, right? He went and bought a Ruby Crystal on his back, so it's not like he's going to be hurting anymore. And flashes are back up. DAMWON Gaming, now they're trying to make a map play elsewhere, because surprisingly, top lane wasn't the fertile ground it should have been. We see Noguri back away because his jungle is bot side. Doesn't always do plays like that. Noguri can sometimes be 2 lane focused. That should mean that DAMWON Gaming pick up a pretty comfortable mountain drift.
No vision down here, double control ward towards the mid lane, and Bono just drops down a vision ward, trying to scope out what he can see. Seemed like they already knew it was happening, but again, not much they could do to contest that one. So a mountain drink, definitely a good one when you got Ashe, Jace, and even Akali.
In the front round, I was loving DAMWON Gaming's draft, even as it's all rounded out. I actually really love it, Valdez, because what do you build to side lane here? Because if DAMWON Gaming are choosing the lane assignments, you can't build to be tanky against Jace and Akali. It's impossible. They just do too much damage. So it's very tricky to choose your main line. Do you just build health and try to straddle the line and can't really deal with either? Feels like lane assignments here. Remember, Ashe Tom Kent, pretty good at also rotating around a good lane assignment. If things get going, DAMWON Gaming just open up huge leads if they're on point with their macro. And it's on Bono and so on to interrupt that, because otherwise, we talked about the small areas where the drafts weren't overlapping. It did feel like DAMWON Gaming should have the early control and thus have the bigger decision-making to do around the mid-game. But Bono finding more and more ganks, getting Aurelia ahead, would throw a huge wrench in the plans.
Looking for Nuguri here. Ults are available, and he's going to get knocked up into the stun. Waits on that Aurelia ultimate for quite a bit. Nice knockback and a flash. Plus Youmu's gets him out of dodge here. Well played by Nuguri 1v2.
Nuguri is really, really strong on mechanical on top laners like the Jace, so the moment that he wasn't able to flash early, he had everything else in point to not die. Very well played there, but the summoner's down, and it is 4 points, soon to be 5 points at Elastic Slingshot. He's TPing straight back in because he knows that now, with the ults down, they do win 2v2, and it's smart of Hanwha Life not to try to collapse on him.
First support up to the Rift Herald is going to be key, but this is a Tom Kent who could get in position. They're not going to start the Rift Herald, just playing around with it for now.
Bot lane has been CS for CS with Ashe. Ashe has actually been in that interesting spot, Valdez, where Ashe versus Kallista's been going better than we expected for Ashe. Ashe versus Lucian. Now going CS for CS.
Yeah.
The old area where that was relevant was in the last Caitlyn meta. I'm thinking 2017 Worlds. 2016 Worlds as well. People realize, wait, just go Ashe into it. You have similar attack range, 50 less, but the arrow could punish Caitlyn trying to just push, push, push. And so against some of these other lane dominant champions, Ash working out, may not be Songyun's, but Nuclear, him smashing, aiming with a couple of arrows were a big reason that DAMWON Gaming picked up a match victory that time out.
Abano's pretty low on health, no flash here from Punch. Not gonna force the engage, but Hanwha are definitely looking to get on in there. Smite does go the way of Punch though, and TPs are coming in. Sohan gonna get low and have to flash away. Nice cast to keep him in range, and assassinated by the Akali. Gets that kill and is looking for another one, and Hanwha Life are just gonna be totally routed, trying to force the fight at the Rift Herald. Is not gonna work out this time. Hoyt, what are you doing?
He's dying. Oh, the Guardian!
He lives.
He actually lived with the Guardian shield. That was so big there. Big mistake by Hanwha Life. They all roll up, but it can only be a 5v4. The only person who can't join is Songyun. He has heal, so he has to play towards his lane. Nuclear teleports in. It's a 5v4, and Hanwha Life are routed.
And the timing of it, too. 3 plates in the mid lane, 1 more up to the Jace in the top lane. So much gold swing goes the way of DAMWON after a play like that.
And unfortunately, this was a very controllable scenario for Hanwha Life. They didn't have to full-on commit. The start of it is fine, because you do not want a free Rift Herald going to the enemy. They start to posture, and you're like, wow, yeah, okay, Zac, Aurelia, I can see it, Ryze and Braum, these are strong champions, but the difference in the minimap. Ash can join, Lucian can't, and then very quickly, Hanwha Life understand that they've made a grave mistake. I thought Hoyt was done for. He didn't have his heal available.
Didn't get it?
Yeah, Nuclear couldn't get in. There's no heal on Nuclear. Hoyt hasn't got heal available. Got the barrier, and we censored it, Valdez. It was so close that it was actually not stream acceptable.
Now we're getting Coach Box sound as well. A couple of claps and a small nice and a high five.
I'm just happy we censored that Guardian play. It was not stream acceptable.
Yeah.
We're going to cut out of the replay as well. So, guys, good thing you caught it live.
You were there.
Someone is pushing up now. The timer here is important. It's the first time Jace is kind of left him alone in lane. It is after 14 minutes. Turret plates, they're not all in Aurelia's lane, but 2 of them are there. And overall, 5 turret plates. 4 of them, you would assume Showmaker picking up most of the gold around. And 450 gold of bounty comes from the 2 kills. 50 more from gold as bot lane.
Okay, we're looking for the stun here. Can the Grey Health come in? Yes, it can. And it looks like after that tower dive, he's not going to have flash, and it's super easy for Hanwha to pick up a follow-up kill.
He was super deadsies, like you say. Endangered species at the moment. We had a scare in mid lane, but that's the confirmation that sadly the benching has happened. As ult flash and Blade of the Ruin can get some away, but a lot of tools used to escape Bono's turret dive.
Good arrow there. Showmaker able to get that one. The last shot from the cannon picks it up after he does a bunch of damage. Speaking of damage, Jace and Nuguri, 2 things that go very well together. And how about some kills as trying to get this one? The Dunkarino with the smite as well just puts Aurelia out of her misery.
That bounce was literally into Gragas' lap. It couldn't have been any better. The only way I've seen better plays when Scara says, watch this, puts down a regular Q, then bounces with the ult into his fermented keg. But that one was right up there, so nicely done by Punch. He knows the angles on the Lee Sin. Apparently Gragas also in his wheelhouse.
Good at geometry and knocking people around. It's 2 important things if you're a jungler.
And remember how that first turret died.
How about another turret?
Yeah. The second one dies instantly, and the Aurelia matchup that works at, say, 6,000, 7,000 gold, you know, when you're 1,400, 1,700 gold, whatever it is at this point, it gets pretty tricky. We're going to go back to the earlier play, where they just decided that Hoyt was done.
It's Tom Kench out of water. No hope for him, no flash,
I need the replay of the top lane angles from the Gragas. And see if it's fully intentional. You can usually tell based on the angles. This is just, of course, Nuguri being one of the best at playing pressure lanes. But watch Punch. He rolls in and says, how about everything goes perfectly? Look at this! Could it be any better?
Come to Papa. Right in his lap, literally.
Wait, was that me? Was that a
soundboard
there?
That was you on the Gragas.
Good thing about being named Papa Smithy, a lot of lines just roll off the tongue and sound funny as hell. Showmaker, in the side lane. Remember, he also, without being on screen doing things, is way ahead. 2-0 and 550 now on that bounty.
Hanwha Life still looking for an opportunity here, and it looks like he's going to find an Aurelia again as nice stun, but it's 1v3, my son.
So
See you later.
You remember when we talked about what it looked like if Hanwha Life got blasted going for the Zac drop? This is that game state right now where at the moment, Jace kills everyone, Akali kills everyone, the Gragas has first movement, as does Tahm Kench Ashe, and you have utility advantage. So suddenly, Bono needs to be getting the big kidnaps, and you need to be getting some kills, because right now the map is being exclusively run with more tools by DAMWON, and Hanwha Life have to next level them. Otherwise, it could all be for naught. There could be a 10,000 gold lead post-haste.
And DAMWON are playing very confidently as well. They're just roaming around the map as a unit. They get Showmaker. Nobody's really able to go up against Showmaker. Rise wasn't there. They rotate over, get another turret. They already have 5 turrets here. And the game's only 18.5 minutes in.
Point to the person who goes against the Jace. Point to the person who goes against the Akali. I'm not hearing an answer on either. Right now they have the opposite of flexible lane assignments. Lava might not die in both those matchups, but certainly can't just take long extended trades there.
Yeah.
The Banshee Veil's being built. What does that say? Ooh, one Akali, please. I'll try to contend with her. Doesn't mean you'll be able to answer completely, but that's the attempt. And you don't always get that lane assignment with all the teleports. 3 on DAMWON and Abyssal Voyage. And Punch is a pretty fast fat man. He's super jolly going around with his Predator.
He's building up that AP too. Not quite the death cap just yet, but just looking down at his Zhonya's real soon here. No Sork boots, but or I guess they're Sork shoes, as I found out recently.
You can call them Sork boots. It's fine.
Okay. I got the permission from Popeye.
You can say
much better now.
Tower instead of turret as well. Bush instead of brush.
How about creep instead of minion?
I mean, we call it CS, right? That's creep score. And we call them minions.
That's only because we can't call it MS, because that's movement speed.
Yeah, and it's, you know, a holdover from the Dota days, so you understand why that happens, but we're pretty flexible here. I know that in some other MOBAs they can be very particular about this. I was told by Heroes of the Stormcasters, we'll hold Heroes of the Storm analysis.
We're going fishing again as, oh boy, that's a big catch. Gets the Tahm Kench and the Ashe, but is it enough damage? Here's Aurelia, gets 1, gets 2, and Nuggery's gonna flash over the wall here trying to get away. He's pretty flexible, actually. Nice gymnastics here from Nuggery. Might actually make his way out of this one.
But what do we say? Bono, find and engage against 5 and make it about you, and that's what they did. They pick up the kills. Recreating it might be hard, but here's some welcome gold for the side of Hanwha Life.
Zac comes in too and puts down the dunk and makes that 3 into the pockets of Hanwha Life.
This is what Zac can do. No other champion has the threat range that he does with Elastic Slingshot. This game state is what they want. Side lanes, Jay's starting to walk up, but it's all done by Bono, and he gets the 2-for-1 that Zac versus Tahm Kench can often provide.
Those Zac mechanics, you don't always have to talk about them, but he catches the catfish, flashes onto Ashe, knocks the heads together, and kidnaps them both.
That is some genuine glee on that Hanwha Life fan who had the Sang-Yoon sign. She is hyped, and she should be. She, for no doubt, saw what we did. The game slipping away from Hanwha Life, but they pick up. And against the run of play, Zac engage. And until you can basically ward every possible 1,000+ engage range Zac play, or unless you can kill the Zac, you can recreate that one. We feel like it's easier for DAMWON. They should still have the tools to take out this game. They still have a sizable goal lead, and yet a couple more from Bono, and maybe Hanwha Life can get over the edge after all.
Zac is certainly getting online right now with that ability, as are we just going to start a Baron? They're definitely thinking about baiting it, at least, as it will not be started.
Remember, what's Hanwha Life's predicament? Ooh, the side lane assignments, we can't deal with that. Ooh, they can out-rotate us, can't deal with that. If we bring them all to us, those things mean less. If we can make it about does Zac get the big head bump into the kidnap, way to do that is to make it honest and keep it all. They will win in the 5-man, while the enemy wants to win in the 1-3-1. So because of that, walking around Baron and milling around Baron, we criticize some teams for doing that. We will not criticize Hanwha Life.
Yeah, I like the play from them so far, even from behind. Even So-Won, who is surely down on his luck in this lane, has been able to keep it at 4 deaths. Keep in mind, Jace has 3 too, so not doing so bad after that start. Was able to pick up one of the kills from that last play as well, get some items, and is now an actual threat in this game.
Let's see how DAMWON plays around what they have, though. They are no doubt a team experienced with 1-3-1. Noguri excels in a side lane. So, you know what the enemy wants to do, and the fact that in every other case, you should run the play. How do you close out the game? Intriguing to see how DAMWON do it. Noguri's rolling down. He is roaming more than you might expect, but Aurelia has no teleport. So right now, they roll up with TP advantage and should easily be able to start the Baron control. But do they start the Baron? That's a more bold move.
See, they get that Baron vision control. There is one nice ward, actually. You can spot it to the left of the Baron by Hanwha that has gone unscanned and unseen. It's not going to have direct vision on the Baron, but could be good for teleports if they eventually do get them.
One small mechanic I want to impress on the fans here is that when Zach is going for red side Baron defense, remember that you can't make the same Baron plays we saw, for example, Kingzone doing in our previous series, and they're pretty common, right? Where you start the Baron, get to 2,000, and then at the right moment, the person with the interrupt goes over the wall or throws the interrupt spell, and you take the Baron. That doesn't work against Zach, because Zach can go immune with the ultimate and ult into the pit to smite it away. So you do have the ability to get through it. Alistair headbutt, an Ashe ult, something like that. And that's a very important thing to discuss. Maybe you actually try to next level the next level and do something like the Akali ultimate, because it goes so fast and it has a 0.5 second interrupt, but that's 0.5 seconds that could be the difference, and they got trolled by a 1 HP smite. So stopping a Zach from getting out of the pit, whether he's out of range and jumping in from a long range, or he's using his ult to immune a spell, it is so much harder to go for a smart Baron play against Zach.
That it is in Hanwha as a team. Even though they are down in gold, almost 3,000 here. They are stepping forward as 5, trying to clear out as much vision as possible. They're not going to go down without a fight. As you guys can see, they're doing a good job of responding to Nuguri's split push. They've been able to get their 2 TPs close to off cooldown now, which is also very important up against this much split pushing.
And it's going to be a fun game to VOD review for anyone involved from here on outwards, because it should be so clear on who the aggressor is and who's responding at all moments. DAMWON pushed out 3 lanes at the same time as Grog, as Tom Kench Ashe, guard Hawk shots and put down deep vision, and it's a tussle, a tug of war that can only be interrupted by a hard engage or a minion wave crashing that can be answered, say, at the inhibitor line. So right now, with a TP advantage, DAMWON Gaming haven't found a way to stop Baron, which is a small disadvantage to DAMWON Gaming, but not a game-breaking one. They still rule the side lanes, but they don't roll the team fights, so the timings have to be crisp. So I think you practice in scrims, in theory from the coaching staff, and how to tell and level up their teammates. And macro game hasn't always been a reliable one for DAMWON. So we focus on both points for now. Control wards all over the Baron, and Bono's health bar accounted for, but not actually DPS down.
Top lane pushing into Hanwha. Bottom seems pretty even, maybe pushing towards DAMWON, and they seem to come on in and group all together as the Infernal's about to spawn. Nobody wants to give up that huge objective with this much damage on the map.
However, remember 3 DAMWON control wards are on Baron, which means they only have 2 left over, which might be actually be 0 depending on who put down those control wards. And you can't control both sides, so they might give up something to get Infernal control. And then remember, wait, the enemy team has a 5v5 comp. Why are we 5v5ing around Infernal? So they should be able to problem solve a way to actually cause pressure, but now Aurelia can TP down. So things setup-wise seem to be more for Hanwha getting a 5v5 than DAMWON Gaming turning the map against them.
Hanwha now setting up for this Infernal. They gotta get So-Won in here somehow. He does have his TP. Showmaker, though, trying to zone away Bono. He's now behind them as, okay, DAMWON just step on in. Hanwha gonna take the safe way out. and say, we will let you have the Infernal. You beat us this time.
Showmaker got them an Infernal alone. That was actually a super sick play. He used his E, I believe with the Assassin's Path, could have the name wrong, over the wall, shrouded, that kept Bono out. Seeing a rotational play here, I believe. Actually, no, a flank onto Sowan.
Oh boy, Sowan taking way too much damage. There's the arrow to the face, but had to be devoured. Doesn't matter, still going down. Showmaker zoning out so much of this. Zach gonna go down on the top side and make that 2 kills now to the side of DAMWON.
Really nicely played. Remember, this is with Flame in the lineup, and people say he's the one who levels up the shot calling. Showmaker alone, Eat over the wall, shrouded. Bono couldn't go past him, and he solo zoned and got out, and they get the Tahm Kench play out to get further kills. DAMWON Gaming a threat of taking everything.
You notice what they do too. You mentioned taking everything. They don't even let the mid push come in first. They're like, no, there's no reason. We can go
smite.
Stop that. You don't have smite. We can come to Baron, and not much you can do. They're going to try to 3v5 here, our Hanwha Life. See how this does work out. Taking a little bit of damage, but the smite is there.
There was no smite on Punch either, amusingly.
Okay, well, he did the damage anyway. Hoyt is going to be the sacrifice, and now here comes Hanwha Life, getting that slow onto the Ash. Rise does a ton of damage, but now they're turning it around. Sohan gonna get that nice stopwatch down, and now he's looking to go in once again. This is so close, but Punch turns it around, and in goes Showmaker 2, as DAMWON are gonna flex on top of Hanwha Life here. Down will go the last member, and Bono alone. Punch comes in at the last second and makes the fight his.
It was a tale of 2 stasises, but the last one held the victor. Really cool last fight after the Baron, and DAMWON get everything. This is after Showmaker alone got them an Infernal from a smart move. They get the Abyssal Voyage in. This is the Ash Tahm Kench duo we talked about. Sowan dies on the back end, as we know. But the further plays around Baron were pivotal as well. DAMWON had the different utility options, but we weren't sure they could use them. They've squandered them before. They get 2 kills, including the Smite. Gragas doesn't have Smite here. This is not information to Hanwha Life. They get the Baron, but watch the couple of plays, and I want to call out 2 going golden moments. The first one is for a different reason after Tahm Kench goes down. Sowan dives in, following up the flash, and you know Zhonya poses always have to be rated. Look how cool this one is, 10 out of 10 with the blades extended. Very nice from Sowan, but Punches is more impactful. We were waiting for a Lee Sin-esque play. They get one. It was the body slam flash into going golden, and that's the moment where DAMWON Gaming breaks the backs of Hanwha Life. It was alluded to earlier. Now the lead is huge.
He's not necessarily stacking up his Magi's or picking up all the kills. He's 1-0-10, but Punch with that move may even earn himself an MVP in this one, helping out in the top lane and doing a good job here.
Almost 100% kill participation, 1-0-10.
It's a big reason why they're winning this game, even past that tilting smite that he lost at the enemy red buff. And, well, now we've got Baron here on the side of DAMWON, and looks like Bono's going to still be looking for an angle to get on in here.
Only question you need to ask, where is Bono? They don't know the answer. They know where he likely is. Get your poke down before you walk up as DAMWON Gaming.
Showmaker comes into mid and spots the blob. That means that DAMWON can just poke, back away, and then regroup and go for the push now. As nobody's fooled by Bono coming in here. Oh, they get the Rise in the backside. Just going to open up this inhibitor. Make that 1, and now count them 2. As 2 of the inhibitors will go down already.
Well, at least Hoyt's happy that his friend Nuclear is joining him way more than he was earlier. DWG Gaming, it's easy to play 2 lanes and then just move over. Yes, they can play 1-3-1, but 1-3-1 means that Zach might find an engage on the 3 or one of the side laners, so they actually play it smart, like you say, pushing the minion wave in mid with Baron, and then Akali sees Zach. That part is easy to relieve the pressure. Take both those inhibitors, and now, even if you engage, the best you're going to do is keep your 3rd inhibitor from going down. So you're stacking the deck, as has been stacked from the Jace first pick here from DWG Gaming. You cannot leave that open for Nuguri. He is one of our god laners in the top lane. DWG Gaming push up, and Hanwha Life, it's almost time for the emergency engage, and that one very rarely works.
Baron is out, and it looks like this is the moment. Really nice interrupt there onto the Elastic Slingshot. Showmaker going into the back line too. Nearly assassinates Songyun almost immediately. As all the slows come in, the casts Gonna knock So1 into danger as well, and it looks like DWG Gaming should be picking up game number 1.
Like you called out, the most impactful thing there was the body slam. Excellently done by Punch. Pretty good pose as well. They're going to close out the game. Well-deserved victory for DWG Gaming. And my only takeaway here is that our one trick Lee Sin's a 3-trick now. The Olaf's pretty good. The Gragas is right up there with the Lee Sin. Really nice from Punch, and Nogari Punch come in. No problem cited. Nice victory, DWG Gaming.
Certainly doesn't feel like a match where we're going to have Flame and Canyon subbed in. I see a sub right here, not necessarily because So1 played a poor game or anything like that, but maybe you just want to try your luck at throwing in Tall. Playing So1 after all this time kind of feels like a ruse that is now up after game number 1. As Coach is going to be talking with Nuggery, and all the side of DWG Gaming should be really happy with that win they picked up.
And I pull up game score, and we talked about how Hanwha Live have a match in hand. We also talked about how 3 of their matchups against teams that they are not favored to beat. Issue is actually compounded by the fact, Valdez, that DWG Gaming actually have a good game score. They've had more 2-0s in the past, so because of that, DWG Gaming, if they win 2-0, they move to +7, 9 and 6, and Hanwha Live will be +1, 8 and 5, which means even if they beat one of that hard opposition, they'll be +3. So game score, the second tiebreaker. Remember, guys, in Korea, match score, best of 3 victories. Then how you did against the field, your wins over your losses in terms of best of 1. So how clean you were, 2-0s or 2-1s, is the second tiebreaker. Head-to-head's the third tiebreaker. So if DWG Gaming do win 2-0, they actually have a lot of advantage over Hanwha Live. So it looked on paper like DWG Gaming, having played more matches, were the ones with the fire up them to actually have to find a way to win. Suddenly, if this is a 2-0, Hanwha Live aren't kissing anything goodbye, but it gets a whole lot harder.
I mean, they got 2-0'd once by DWG Gaming. They don't want to get 2-0'd again, but we're certainly looking at that possibility here after game number 1 was relatively one-sided. There was a couple of good moments from Bono on the Zac. You know, was able to get that good gank up on the top side to allow Aurelia to have a bit more of an easier lane. Also, that mid-game team fight was pretty good, but it was basically only that, and that wasn't enough to allow them to win the game.
And if you remember my analysis after the first round, what did we say about DAMWON's draft? Oh, this is actually the draft Hanwha Live wishes they got, even though both teams traded power. I think that was true in effect as well. Bono wasn't dictating our tempo jungler. He was on Zac, and he got half a map, but unfortunately, DAMWON got a Dirk early, and then even though Jace died a couple of times, and there was some unlucky things, just think about this. What if the Smite Steal didn't come? It would have been an even cleaner victory for DAMWON Gaming.
Yeah, have to give that up to them. DAMWON looking really